My mother always said, all ends, all ends well. Everything always ends well. It might take a long time, but it'll end well. And she was convinced of that.
How do you age to 100? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Life Lessons, the podcast where people aged over 100 and beyond look back on their lives. Before we start, you could do us a very small favor by subscribing to the channel wherever you're watching or listening on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcast. Please hit that subscribe button because that gives us the opportunity to find more amazing people aged over 100 and beyond. Miriam, almost a month ago, you became 103. You're the oldest on the show this far.
But 21st of April, I was 103.
Congratulations. What did you do for your birthday?
Thank you. Everybody is so nice, you can't even divide it into bits and pieces, you know?
Yes.
It's just that in spite of what people seem to think, generally people are very, very nice.
Yes.
I'm convinced of that. Even people who look as if they say, you see about three teenagers standing in the street looking at each other. So most people think, oh, those horrible teenagers, and they walk past and the teenagers behave like teenagers. Yeah. When I watch this, then I go and see the three of them standing there. I say, good morning, how are you? Oh, can we carry the walker across the road for you? That is the reaction you get. And it's 9 times out of 10. You get out what you put in.
Yes. So how were you as a teenager many years ago?
What kind of teenager? I don't think you can compare it. I was 14 when I came to Cape Town, so I had all this in my mind where I'd been, what I'd done there, and I had to find out how to speak English, and also getting to know people my own age, because no matter how people try, when they're not in the same in the same road, you can try as hard as you can't move in.
Which year did you came to Cape Town?
1937, February 37.
Right before the war.
37, that when the war started in 40 something. So I was here for quite a while already when the war started.
Yes. And you grew up in Germany, right?
I grew up in Germany until I was 14 years.
And how did it came that you ended up here in Cape Town?
You see, the thing is this, that I am convinced every action has a reaction. And I was convinced to make friends with my age group and try and understand their way of humor and all this sort of thing. And then I forgot everything else and got stuck in with this idea, so that, well, I became what I am.
Yes. And why did your parents decide to move to Cape Town?
Because Cape Town was the only place in the world who would take a refugee at that time.
Yes. And you were fleeing from Nazi Germany.
Yes, of course.
In German medieval Nuremberg, the marching, seething squash of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Congress comes to an end. This year they say there are 800,000 pairs of boots standing heel to heel, waiting for the Führer's final speech. And the high spot comes when, after a detailed review of Nazi achievements, Hitler cries, "My life's fight has not been in vain."
And can you remember how that was to flee from your own country?
Yeah, I don't have to tell you the stories that they did. They get hold of, got at that time, they got hold of Jews and, and they put them in a booth where you have a shower, these shower booths,
Yes.
put them in the shower and took all the gold or whatever they had, closed the doors, and instead of water, they poured gas. And then they took that person and had a look if there is some more gold on him, and then threw them into the ditch.
Yes. So you were right on time to leave the country.
It was a fairly good idea at the time.
Yes. And can you remember?
but people had their own unemployed. Now they didn't want more. And it wasn't difficult to get out. It was difficult to get in somewhere.
To get in, so like to get in another country?
Into another, yes, they
Yes.
didn't want any more. They say, hey, they have enough of their own unemployed. Look, in a way, you can understand that attitude, an overall attitude. But when it comes to single people, it's a different story.
What can you remember from being around 12, 13, and seeing the country where you grew up change so much? Because suddenly you see all these flags in the streets, and
Uh,
what can you remember of that period?
at that age, I wasn't a philosopher. At that age, I took things as they were, so did all my other friends. When I came to Cape Town, there some youngsters, more or less my age, were being told about me. And when I arrived here, they were all very nice to me and helped me to integrate into some Union of Jewish Women, for instance.
Did you travel here by boat when you moved here?
That is the funny thing that you asked that, because we arrived here at 6 o'clock in the morning, 500 people on that boat. We arrived at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they only let us off after 4 in the afternoon because they couldn't decide whether we were allowed in or not. So while we were on that boat, 500 people, they were deciding whether to shove that boat out to sea and forget about it or to help us.
How did that feel? Because that must have been
You,
a
you,
very
you
emotional moment.
of course, but uh, funnily enough, some of these sayings that your parents have, they stick. They stick. My mother always said, and we had been through a lot by that time already. My mother always said, all ends, all ends well. Everything always ends well. It might take a long time, but it'll end well. And she was convinced of that, and that helps a lot.
Yeah. Can you remember how did it feel being on that boat? What did it smell like? Because you were 500 people on a boat. You were going somewhere you never been before. What were you? How did you experience that?
We didn't think that far. We only thought about the day, how we would survive the day, make the most of the day, because there's no point in painting pictures. You got to live it.
Is that still your motto, like to live by the day?
Yeah. Well, you see, my mother, that's a different story, because uh, before, uh, when we still lived in Germany, the countries around Germany took children, Jewish children, in the school holidays, because Jewish couldn't go to any holiday place or anything, you see. So there were people in the country who who took children, and it was very, very nice, I must say. This and 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 you get to know their families, and you help each other, you know.
It's a massive sign of gratitude to take someone in your house. Well, these people were also at risk. No?
Yeah, well, it, when I was in Holland, the, I was staying with an old lady who was only 50. But to me at the time, she was an old lady,
Not even half your age.
and and her son was a diamond cutter, Polak. Uh, ma, I'm trying to remember, because sometimes I actually remember the name of the place and the name of the people, but you can't force it.
Yeah. And so you were in Holland first, so you flew from Germany to Holland.
To Holland, yes.
Yes.
And while I was in Holland, the German put my mother in jail.
And how did that did she travel after you or
Now she uh, she wanted to come and visit me. I was in, like I said, with his family in Holland in the school holidays, and they asked my mother if she would like to come and visit. And so my mother tried to get on a bus to meet me, and the bus was full. And then the bus driver said to her, "This one man is not coming, so you can come in his place." But he said, "It's too late to get all the papers. You can travel under his number." You see? And because of that, she was put into jail.
oh. And how long did she have to stay in jail for?
Oh, my mother, not long. She was about a week in jail. They wanted, they wanted her to, you see, she was not the type that gets frightened. They, they wanted, they locked her up, and they wanted her to clean the toilets as a punishment. And my mother said, "Okay, I'll gladly do it. You get a judge to tell me that I must do it." And of course, no judge would do that. So my mother never cleaned the toilet.
Then your mother also arrived in the Netherlands?
In Holland, now that took quite a few weeks. By that time, I went home again.
And can you remember what so after a while your mother said we're gonna move to Cape Town? Can you remember how did that unfold?
No, because my mother, my mother heard that uh, a boatload of refugees were allowed to come to Cape Town. So she entered my dad in that list. My my father only found out that he's going when he got the number.
Oh really?
That was my mother.
Yeah.
You want to do it, it's good, do it.
Yeah.
Finished.
But it's also a hard decision because you were living in Germany, that was your home, and
Yeah, well,
it's a
we had
tough
to live.
decision.
Now, the funny thing is that annoyed me is that the jokes aren't the same. You
In
know,
in South Africa than in Germany, you mean?
I I had a book. I don't know what happened to it, moving here and all that. The book had translations of stories or sayings. Like there is a saying in French. They write it there, and then they put the translation on the other side. And what they did was give it a literal translation. It is the funniest book you've ever seen.
And how did it feel? So you arrived here in South Africa, here in Cape Town. What how did your first week look like?
My first week, we were staying we had a room in a boarding house. And my father had collected apple boxes. In those days, you got the wooden apple boxes, and they were put in different ways, and they became the kitchen, uh, with an opening sometimes there and an opening sometimes there, and with pots in things in it. And then my brother decided we must have proper curtains. So he took a pair of sheets and he dyed them to make it curtains. Uh, but when I think of it now, it is the funniest thing, the things that you cling to and the things that you throw away. You don't agree with that all your life. Sometimes I think, oh, if I hadn't done this, but there's no point in saying that. It's done, it's done.
What was Cape Town like in the 40s or 50s? How did it feel
Ah,
to
it was
suddenly live here?
lovely.
Yes.
Everybody walked, and I had a dog, a fox terrier, and he- we lived in Vredehoek, and I walked down into town and did my shopping, and the dog came along, and then I would find that the dog lost me in the rush with all different people. And then I went to the bus stop, and I get on the bus, and the conductor says, "Your dog is home already."
When you were living here in the 40s and in the 50s, did you know what was going on in Europe? Like, did you know about the war? Did you know about, because or obviously horrible things happened in Germany and Poland, and did,
I am not a person to moan and groan about what might have been and what could have been. I only think about how can I make it well? How can I make it right?
Yes.
Otherwise, you drive you. Otherwise, you either shed everything like these old women who sit and don't take notice mentally,
Yes.
or or you go overboard and join parliament.
Was it hard to make new friends because you were suddenly in another country, you didn't speak the language? Was it easy to make new friends, to meet new people?
It was easy to meet new people. You only smile at somebody and say good morning. That's all you need to do,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you like Cape Town?
Cape Town,
Yes.
when my dad got off the boat, he said, "I'll never leave this place. It is so beautiful."
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Miriam, you're now 103. You survived 103 years on this planet. What is your biggest life lessons? What did you learn in this life?
To, to learn is to be positive and to smile at people, not frown at them, because you get the smile back again, and then then before you know where you are friends. It's much better than being enemies.
Do you still make friends now at 103?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Like what's her name? Be, be, this German girl we've got here. We suddenly friends. It comes just like that. You smile at each other, then there's one subject to share, you know?
Yes. So that's the biggest life lessons, to smile and to be open to other people.
Yes. And I find the most fascinating book to read is God, Jews, and History, because it gives you 3 pages about your religious, about your being Jewish, and the history in which this happened. Like uh, you belong to a congregation, okay? Now you see and hear everything that goes on within that congregation. But if you are serious, you go deeper into it, and then you try, why do we do this? How do we do this? And like you see, the old Jews, mean older ones, not even old, when they read the Bible, they think they've got to go like this.
Yeah.
You know why they go like that?
No idea.
Not one of them asks why. Because around 1400, 1500, when they had these uh, uh, Muslims reign, uh, then they, how shall I put it? They they tried to be invisible, and because they didn't want to be noticed, they also wore this yarmulke that they wore. Now, a lot of Jews think of it as a religious thing. It's nothing but a glorifying of the Muslims.
Yes.
It is unbelievable how much people do without thinking, without knowing, putting stone on a grave, right?
Yes.
You see them walking on putting stone. Why do they put stones on a grave?
I don't know. Why
In
do
the
they?
old days, when all was desert, wild animals used to dig up the dead.
Yes.
So they put stones on the grave to keep the wild animals away. And that is all there is to it. There's nothing religious or what you call to it.
And we still do it now.
And not only that they all do it without knowing why they're doing it.
Y-
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You mustn't do things when you don't know why you're doing it.
Do you think there's life after death, or is this it?
I believe that we are not meant to know what happens after death, so why scratch for it?
Yes. Is it something that crosses your mind, dying, or
No.
no?
Mm-mm.
Because you're 103, like it's.
Look,
You must also have lost a lot of
you've
friends.
been given a brain and you're meant to use it.
Yes.
That's the main thing. Not sit down and cry and say, oh, but if this and if that and if the other. That doesn't help.
Yes.
You've got to do it, either do it or forget about it. That was the one thing of my mother's. But she was very strict about it in little things and big things. You either you do something, you can do something, or if you can't do something, then you must forget about it. There's no, there's no way of sitting around and thinking if this and if that and if the other.
Yes. How do you keep your brain active?
I, I, with silly things like that, I look it up. I see a woman carrying a stone going to the cemetery, and I think it looks very silly to me, and then I look it up,
Yes.
and sometimes I make a little speech about it, So, and that's how I keep my brain active. You've got to keep your brain. You once you let go, it's gone.
Is that the secret to living to 103?
It's one of the things I'm convinced of it. It's one of the things.
Do you have children?
Yes, I've got 2 sons.
How old are they?
I don't know, it's the end of the year or next year. My eldest son will be 80. He will, yeah, he's retired.
How does it feel to have a son of 80?
I don't believe it.
Like 80, that could be my grandfather, you know what I mean? Like 80 is
Yes,
already.
yes.
Yeah.
He's very young and active.
Yeah. When did your husband passed away, right?
Oh, about 10, about 10 years. I tried to remember the other day. We were married for 14 years. I was 76 and he was 84 when we got married.
Yes.
And it was wonderful. It was really a wonderful marriage. My first husband, he died very young. He had asthma and something on the lung, and yeah, that was terrible. We'd been friends since I was 14.
Yes. You met him here in Cape Town, your first husband.
Yes.
Yes. And how did you meet your second husband?
I don't know. There was just a crowd of equally aged people, and we all got together, sometimes, very often at the Rose Court.
Yes.
Whenever people talk about divorce and things like that, I think, how can I be so lucky? I had a very understanding husband, and I had all the men in my family are really straightforward, decent thinking people. There's nothing queer or whatever. And I'm very grateful for that. I really am. Because nowadays, especially with teenagers, you find they get carried away by their contemporaries.
Which advice would you give younger people, like teenagers, about love?
The advice I would give them is to make sure it feels right,
Yes.
what they're doing or saying or whatever it is. They must make sure it feels right. Then you can't go wrong.
Did you ever do something in your life whereby you felt that it wasn't right, but you still did it?
Oh, yes.
And what are your regrets in life?
I went out with one chap who was horrible, and I didn't realize he was horrible. And that, and apart from him, I've only had nice men in my life.
How did you find out this chap was horrible?
I tell you how, because whatever we went out or whatever we did, it was always I who was paying.
Yes.
So I put a stop to that. That's all.
Yes.
At one stage in my life, I used to do interior decorating, and I used to put on wallpaper as well. And whenever I see that people have used wallpaper, I want to see where is the seam.
How long did you do the interior design for?
I can't remember. It was the time I was on my own. You see, I get a pension from Germany, right? That is over and above a normal pension.
Yes.
It's called the Wiedergutmachung.
Yeah.
You know what it means?
Yeah, it means making up.
Making up, yeah. The making up money. How can you make up human lives with money? I hate it, but I take it all the same.
Why do you hate it?
To give money for living human beings?
Yeah. To get money, you get money, right? From the German government.
Yes.
What is your feeling towards Germany? Did you ever think about going back there, or how did
Now
you?
I tell you exactly. I, you know, the German government paid for us to go 1 year to see what it's like today. And I must really say that they have become what I would call normal people.
Yeah.
it, they certainly have come up with the times.
Yes.
And you can't, you see, what is the saying about the children suffering for the parents.
Yes.
It sounds it's a different, but that happens, especially with the German ones.
Yes, my granddad is German and my dad is German. And so my dad, when he was going to school, so he grew up in the Netherlands, in Holland.
Oh,
And when my
lovely.
dad was cycling to school, he got beaten up because like he was German, you know? So after the war, yeah, people just thought, oh, he's German, he's wrong. And yeah, you can't imagine that anymore. I mean, the Germans go on holiday in the Netherlands, and
Yeah,
people from the Netherlands go on
yeah.
holidays in Germany. So you can't imagine that it happened anymore. But still, it's like, especially in the 50s and 60s, that was still the sentiment in a lot of countries like Netherlands, that people thought, oh, the Germans, it's bad, they're bad people, which I can kind of understand. But you know what I mean? Like there was a lot of resilience towards Germans.
No, I tell you something. Every country has good and bad, and in the end, is that the fish starts with the head, right?
Yes.
And it's always who is in charge and influences the others.
Yes.
And sometimes you can influence them in the opposite way again. But I'm not a psychologist.
Do you think people are at heart good but get bad, or that they are bad but get good? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you think people are from themselves that are people are good people?
Yeah, well, I always, to start with, when I meet somebody, I'm always on the positive side. These are nice people. I can talk to them, etc., etc. But there are some that I don't even try to 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 disguise my disgust of them, some of them, because it's for you. You've got the brain. You've got to organize it.
You were 14, you arrived here in Cape Town.
Yes,
How do you look back on being so many years in Cape Town? Because the country also has changed so much has happened here, so much history. How, what is your
I
thought?
tell you what it is. Children are selfish. I was 14. I was interested in how I would settle down. I was interested to learn the jokes, for instance, why they are a joke. you know? And I was interested, for instance, there was there were two girls. They had the most beautiful voices. To go, and I didn't care where I went. Always went when I knew they were singing there.
Yeah,
Silly little things like that, you know.
yes.
Wednesday or Thursday, maybe they still do it. They go, seniors go to the opera, and you eat lunch there. They have a lovely lunch. Have you ever eaten there?
No.
You must try. They, we used to eat lunch there and then watch the film, watch the play or whatever it was. It was really nice. But nowadays, I haven't got the energy to go there and sit. That's okay. But then to go home again, it takes more energy.
Yeah.
Uh,
But you're still an energetic person. You come over as
well,
if you're still,
I wouldn't want to just sit and count the tiles on the wallpaper.
yeah.
Definitely not.
If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what kind of advice would you give?
But kind to be positive. To be positive above all things. To be positive. To always believe that everything ends well, because it does, even if it takes years sometimes. But everything ends well. I'm convinced of that.
Always.
If you set your mind to it, it's your mind that works you,
Yeah.
right? You you've got to think about it and try to understand how would you react to certain things.
Yes. What was the hardest moment of your life?
That I can't say. That I can't. You know, sometimes you don't know what to believe. My father was in hospital. Uh, he had a little bit of breathing difficulty, and he was in hospital. And we at the time, he was at the Hoodskir, and we at the time lived in Pinelands. And about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, maybe even later at night, I said to my husband, I want to go and see my father. So he said, you can go tomorrow morning. I said, I want to go now. Anyway, in the middle of the night, we went to the hospital to see to my father, and we talked and this and that and the other. And the next morning, I got a phone call that he died. Now, how do you explain things like that?
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yes. How was that last conversation with your father? Where did you talk about?
He must probably say to me, don't worry. I can't remember.
How do you cope with grief? Because you said before to always stay positive. How do you cope with grief when you lose someone? You're 103, so I assume you must have lost quite a bit of people. How, w- how like, how do you handle grief?
We all have to die, and there's always a reason for it. And I find that mostly there is a good reason for people to die. For instance, when they have asthma, they have so many days where they can't breathe properly. It's much better to die, and people take it in their stride. Well, some people, anyway.
Are you afraid of dying?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Why should I be? It's something I don't know anything about. How can I be afraid of it?
Yes.
And so far, like my mother said, everything ends well, even if it takes long. So I believe it.
And that's why you got to 103.
You think so?
I don't know. You're 103 and you say everything ends well. So, like, otherwise you wouldn't have gotten so old if you wouldn't have followed up on that advice,
But
maybe, no?
it upsets me terribly, terribly when I see people 10, 20 years younger than I whose brain starts to go.
Yeah.
I am convinced it's 90% up to you.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm right or not.
So, what are your tips? You already told to keep your brain active, but what are things you do
But
to age so
I,
well?
I write poetry, did you know? I write poetry. I read some books that are quite interesting, like this one that I mentioned, God, Jews, and History. Very, very interesting. And there's one lady, and we talk about it, and we give our point of view and why, in order to keep your brain active.
Yes.
You've got to. Sometimes it's a bit boring, but you still got to do it.
Yes. Which role did being Jewish had in your life?
All being Jewish, well, in Germany it wasn't very nice. When we came here, it was lovely. Everybody was wonderful. And they took me into some uh, what would you call it? The one crowd was all for making money for children, and the one crowd was to this and this. So they come to me and want me to join, and I pick out the ones that I want.
So we're living in 2026 now. It's 2026.
Yeah.
How do you look at the world? What do you think about today's world?
The world is the same as it always is. People make it for themselves. People make it for themselves. You want a good world, you work towards it, right?
Yes.
That's all.
So how did you work?
Always start with yourself. Anything that you want done, first start with yourself and see what it's like. Definitely.
And how did you do that?
What do you mean, how do you do it?
How did you looked at yourself to make the world a better place?
I'm not saying that I'm making it a better place. I'm just saying I do the best I can to be friendly and to be understanding. That's all.
Yes.
Look, when you live in a little village, for instance, right? There might be 10 houses. Everybody knows everybody well, and everybody gets on well with each other. They don't even think about how they must behave towards the other person. They do it naturally. And I think one should aim to be like that.
Do you think people who live in cities are more selfish than people who live in small communities?
No, I don't think so. I, the percentage is the same. You can see, you can have 1,000 people and 3 are only very good, you know? I mean, that's a lot of nonsense.
Yeah. After living on this earth 103 years, is life better now than it was 103 years ago?
Yes and no. If you adjust to all the new gadgets and things, you're fine. If you can't adjust, then it's up to you to see how you handle it. That's all.
What kind of gadgets do you have?
Uh, I haven't got one of those.
You have an
No,
iPhone or an iPad or a mobile phone?
actually, I was thinking of getting one, but I haven't got one. I've only got the big one, the square one.
The iPad?
Yes, iPad.
And you use it?
Yes, I use it every Wednesday. It's got a new magazine called Woman's Weekly.
On the iPad? And you read it every Wednesday on the iPad?
I read it because I want to know how everybody else feels.
Yes. Do you think that all these communication, like the iPad and the phone, that it brought people more together
No,
or that it put people apart?
pull people apart. They they see your face on the thing, and then they meet you in the street. They don't even recognize you.
Yes. I think this was one of the first times I was in a restaurant and everybody was on the phone, even people who were together. So
Huh?
people were having dinner, they were just on their phone in a restaurant. And then I thought, like, can't you have a conversation with each other? You're sitting with each other, you're texting or contacting other people. That I think all these technology and communication like
Yeah.
doesn't bring us closer. It maybe
I had a lovely time when we had this international meeting with a Russian interpreter. She was a lovely girl. She gave me this cardboard thing it is amazing that people like this girl who how open-minded they are living in such a closed-in environment, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
It's a bit funny, yeah?
Yes. Do you feel more South African or more German?
Oh, South African. The German I scared of. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like stepping out of a skin.
Yes.
No. And I keep on telling myself that it is even in the Bible, the sins of the father should not go down to the son. But you can't help it sometimes.
Yes.
It's an attitude. I'm friends with some German people, and I'm very happy and content with them. And there's another couple, I can't understand them, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
They to me like from another planet.
Yes. Are you happy?
Yes, of course. If you're positive, you're happy.
Is that true?
Yes, yes, it is true, because you drop all the negative things to think about.
Yes.
You've got to be happy.
Is it easy for you to constantly be so positive? Like, is it easy to have such a positive mindset all the time?
Well, let me see. Something I wanted my son for, and he was going to be away on that, and I wanted him there, and I was disappointed, which is a silly thing. Which is a silly thing, but uh, uh, after I sat and thought about it, how silly I was being, I was all right again.
Yeah.
You can't, you cannot expect your children or grandchildren to have the same world as you have.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's sometimes hard to, when you get criticism or negative things happen, it, it's very in ourselves to immediately start defending and be negative, and
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's if you're being criticized for something, or if you someone says something you don't like, it's very easy to immediately defend yourself and say, "Oh, that's not true."
Uh,
You know what I mean? It's very hard to look inside yourself and think like, "What did I do wrong? What could have I done better?" It's it, it's even I see that I'm also a positive person, and even I see it sometimes that someone criticizes me or criticizes something I do, or and immediately I think like, "That's not true. It's you." You know what I mean? It's very hard to look in yourself,
yeah.
and I love that what you said about um what can I do to become a better person, or maybe make the world a better place, or
Yeah,
be more positive,
of
because
course.
it's so easy to it's your natural reaction when something happens to go like, that's not true, it's not me, it's you, point the
Mm.
finger at someone else. And I think one of the hardest things is if someone criticizes you or is mean to you, to think like, okay, what can I learn from this, and how can I become better?
That's it. That's the right thing, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Miriam, to round it up, this podcast is called Life Lessons, and it's about people aged over 100 and beyond. So people are aged over 100. And what I want to ask you is like, what is your biggest life lessons? When you look at the 103 years you've lived, what is the life lesson which you want to share to younger people, or people watching this, or people who also want to become 103? What is the life lessons? What
And
can we learn?
I can tell you all the things that are not nice about it, but I'm not a negative person.
So to round it up, do you think that
Mm.
being positive gets you to 103?
103, I mean, 21st of April, it is already.
Yeah.
Shocking.
103.
Yeah. I don't really believe it.
No? Well, it's true. Miriam, I want to thank you for your time. I think you had an amazing life, and I think you're a very inspiring person in your positive attitude. And um, I think the things you have experienced, fleeing your home country, ending up in a strange country, making the best of it, need to make new friends. Um, I think that's really remarkable. And yeah, with your positive attitude and like you're a very happy person, a very loving, caring person. I think you're a great mom, grandmother, great grandmother, and I want to thank you for your time. And I think that a lot of people will feel very inspired by your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Very nice to meet you.